15 Minutes with Rizz, an interview with Tonia Haddix from Chimp Crazy, and I get her to play F, Marry, Kill. It's going to get wild today. All that and more on the number 2 show. What's up to the flush mob? What is up to the turd herd? What's up, you stooligans? That's right. I don't know what I'm calling all the fans of this show, but the show has begun, the number 2 show. And I'm your host, Rafe Williams. And boy, oh boy, do I have a special show in store for you here today from 18 North Central Tactical Laser Tag Studios. I'll get it out. I'll get the sponsor out of my head. It's just rattling around in there because I was so proud of that Stooligans thing. We got a great show for you today on a very special episode of the number 2 show. We're going to be talking to Tonia Haddix of Chimp Crazy live in studio very shortly. And I can promise you it's going to be off the chain, baby. But right now, I want to go ahead and get the show started because we got so much in store for you today. With a segment that's tried and true with my best bud. A segment I like to call 15 Minutes with Rizz. Scott Rizzuto in the house.
Hello, Rafe Williams.
Welcome to 15 Minutes with Rizz. The clock is running. Sponsored by Rogers Service and Towing.
Hook me up like a tow truck.
Yeah, let's hook you up to a tow detector test. I took a toe detector test, and it detected I had 10 toes.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I've passed every toe detector test I've ever taken. What's up, dude?
Looking forward to Tonia Haddix.
Yeah, it's election day here in America, and hey, maybe she got some write-in votes. She's popular enough.
I saw some pictures of some Tonia Haddix Halloween costumes from last week.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Some good ones?
Yeah, some good high hair, animal print dress. Yeah, really did it up.
She's a wildcat, man.
Yeah, big fan.
Yeah, we had her, you had her last week in studio.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. What were your thoughts? Let's do a little Monday morning quarterbacking of that interview before we see what I get into with her today.
Well, I was such a big fan of the documentary Chimp Crazy. So it would air on Sundays. I could not wait to get back on Monday to talk about it. Enough for people like, shut the hell up. You are spoiling it for us. I just couldn't wait to get it out because it's so wacky and so crazy, and I cannot wrap my head around what it's like to be so in love with chimps, enough to call them your kids, enough where one woman admitted to breastfeeding a chimp.
Yeah.
Like putting her teat to the lips of a chimp and having it suckle as if it were a human baby.
Yep, she had them Monchi-Chi titties, dude. That's crazy.
Gross.
Giving them that nature's nectar, baby. Help them little chimps grow up.
But when I met her, I had one of those moments. And this happens, it's a rare moment, but I'm like, man, I can't believe this person that I put a lot of time into watching, sitting like 10 feet away from me. Like enough where I could reach my hand out and go, we could actually touch the tips of our fingers together. Surreal.
It was very surreal to meet her in person. She's a tiny little thing, too.
Not only tiny, but listen, she's got her problems. She's got her legal problems. She's a wackadoodle when it comes to the chimp stuff. But she's very endearing and very charming.
Yeah, that was what I wanted to talk to you about.
Almost like a politician in a way. Like it is election day, and there are politicians, sleazeball or not, man, some of them will charm the pants right off you.
Yeah, she has
the it factor.
She has a je ne sais quoi, a little bit of what I would call a hillbilly charm, what I would call chimp charisma. She was very endearing and far more reasonable in some ways than I think we expected, only having the documentary series as a jumping off point. Good sense of humor about herself, which I will find out how good it is today.
Well, at least for me, she was pretty self-deprecating. No, she calls herself the crazy chimp lady, so 100%. At least she leans into it.
She leans into it. She was very, and I'll get into it with her today more, but like I thought she was very reasonable. She brought up some points that I was like, I don't know where I stand on it, but she had said something about, I would favor legislation moving forward. If you don't want private ownership of chimps, that makes sense. Let's put something on the books. But we're talking about 50 years of chimps being raised in captivity and trained to be on television, and these chimps are used to a certain life and air conditioning, and they've been humanized. And, maybe is just throwing them in a sanctuary with other wild chimps
a good idea.
Truly the best thing for them.
Or, just releasing them to the wild. Listen, I have a dog named Cat. Yeah. And Cat's 6 years old.
Yeah.
If I released Cat out in the wild,
over.
She ain't surviving. She'll be dead within a half hour.
100%. And I made that equivocacy of like, an inside dog can't just become an outside dog. Like that's not an overnight deal. You can't have a dog that's inside the way we take care of our pets now, whether you agree with it or not. If they've been fed and temperature controlled, they've never been out in the rain. They've never had to seek shelter. They've never had to find their own food.
Tanya was feeding her chimps McDonald's.
I know, man. They're hitting chicken nuggies, dude.
They were getting Happy Meals and ripping those things open and playing with the toys.
Yeah, you're going to throw a chimp with a bunch of other chimps and be asking, like, where's the sweet and sour sauce, my peoples?
I think we should have the chimps be active members of society and actually start working at McDonald's.
Me too.
That'd be great.
Honestly, I would if I got an extra sauce packet, from a chimp delivered to my table. What a great...
Can you imagine, Rafe, pulling up to a drive-thru?
Chimp Donald's, dude. Let's workshop this.
Okay, so you pull up to a McDonald's. Now, all these menu boards are being made AI. They're being made AI. I forget what fast food place actually has all their menu boards AI, so you're not actually speaking to a person. Imagine placing your order and pulling around to the first window, and a chimp hand sticks out of the window.
Dude, are you kidding me, man?
And you don't know you're at the chimp McDonald's, and you just see a hairy chimp hand come out of the first window, and you put your credit card, and he swipes it, and he gives you a receipt, and he points to the second window, and you drive to the second window, and the window opens, and a hairy chimp hand has your sack of McDonald's.
I'm going to that McDonald's all the time.
Now, do I want them cooking the food? I don't know.
Probably not.
I don't think I want them back in the grill area. I don't know if they wash their hands. They masturbate a lot and they throw their own feces. So I don't know if I want that as far as cooking my food. So maybe we'll keep that the human element. But you could have them work the drive-thru.
Yeah, you could easily have them giving out sauce packets. If nothing else, they don't have to touch the open food or wrap anything up. But man, you have a little cute little chimp come out, run me a honey mustard.
Oh my God! Oh, put him in roller skates,
dude. Come on, I'm in on that.
Oh man, so you go to Sonic, right? And you pull up to those little drive-through things. What do they call those? At Sonic, those
little stalls.
Those little stalls. Can you imagine a chimp on roller skates rolling out your food to you? Stop it.
Yeah, because I enjoy chimp. I'm guilty. I'm just saying it. When chimps are in movies, chimps are in television shows, dude, I love it. And it's hard. Like, how do we balance that? How do you balance when you need an actor? Do we not do that anymore? I don't know.
What is it that makes us like animals like that? Or is it, what? I tell you what it is. It's when you put an animal in a human hat.
It is. Do you remember Lancelot Link?
What is Lancelot Link?
Lancelot Link was like it was a show that was on in like the 70s. They used to replay it on Nick at Night, and it was Lancelot Link was a monkey, was a chimp who was a detective. He's like a James Bond. It was like a James Bond parody, but it was all chimps. Check it out. I'm going to play it for you right now. Just the fact that you don't remember it.
Was he wearing?
Look at that. Wearing a hat, wearing a monocle. Hilarious.
Another hat.
Hat
See?
and a mustache. Hilarious.
Wig.
Dr. Strange Mind. Look at that. Semi-racist caricature.
Named
couple
Wong
of
Fu.
those. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it crazy that the chimp wasn't the most problematic thing about this show?
I don't remember the show, but I think I want to watch it when I get home.
Look at this. They had a band.
Revolution, a secret recording group. They were led by Lance Link and the lovely Mara Harry.
Look at this. I'm guilty. This is hilarious.
Oh my God.
Now let's go to the
Organization of
episode.
crime. Chump's latest plot was being discussed by its leader, the Baron, his henchman Crito, and the villainous
Dude,
Duchess.
when I was 12 or 11 years old,
Soon we will have the most valuable jewel in the world.
Oh, imagine directing this.
Diamond.
yeah, how long do you think it took?
$3 million too. Nonsense. It costs Chump nothing. We are going to steal it.
Let's go to Lancelot
One
Link's
of his
apartment.
television favorites.
Look at this.
Sweet pad.
Yeah, he was a pimp, dude. He's gonna have a little scotch. Kidding me? Come on, dude. Come, Zane. You're woke.
Good.
Come on, dude. Bunky
Hi out
drinking
there in
scotch.
television land. Welcome to another night of great entertainment.
Watching Ed Sullivan.
Watching
I'm your
Monkey
host,
Ed
Ed
Sullivan.
Sullivan, and tonight we have a really big show for you.
Oh my God.
Boy, I wonder
And you know
who
what,
the guests
dude?
You're going to be. On our stage here tonight, we will
There's
have
a good
50
chance that
Hungarian
most of these
dancers
chimps
who
came
will
from
grill right
Fenton,
before your
Missouri
I
eyes.
was
to
about
make
to
this
say.
show.
Wow,
Festus.
that sounds
Festus,
exciting.
Festus, sorry.
Missouri, which is south of Fenton.
Come on.
Smart.
I could literally just sit here and watch this whole episode. Okay, Evil Knievel Chimp.
Is this on
Indian
YouTube?
companion.
Oh, yeah, and I'm just
Oh,
ran
Lone
Lone
Ranger?
Ranger
Of the
Chimp.
West.
Tonto
The masked
Chimp.
rider rides again.
What? This gets more problematic as we go. But honestly,
Be rustling chickens, huh?
Yeah, I sure hope Marta followed them.
come on, dude.
Not worry. I track 'em down.
Tonto's a tracker. Chimp's riding horses,
man.
dude.
Tire tracks.
Imagine directing this.
Tell me, what is it?
Congratulations, Lynn. We beat Chump.
The missile destroyed my exploder device.
Yeah. And it
Oh,
ruined
the
my
voiceovers
monikers
don't
too.
even
Love
come
it.
close
I
to
hope
matching the
those
mouth
chumps
movements.
learn their lesson,
No, but just the
Marta.
fact that their mouths are moving. I mean, look. And if you're not hip to Lancelot Link, go down that YouTube rabbit
Oh,
hole.
I will.
It was
How that show ever got canceled is a
where did
travesty.
Where did it come from? Who pitched that? Imagine being in the pitch room. But I mean, dude, that Connie chick might have been in there that ran Tanya's chimp sanctuary when it used to be. What was it when it was birthday parties?
Oh yeah, the chimp birthday.
I can't.
If you live in the St. Louis area,
You know.
chances are you were at a birthday
Yeah.
party in the late '80s, early '90s that had a chimp from this chimp factory in Festus.
Yes, and I believe the doc said 70 to 80% of chimps used in film and television
Came from this one particular place.
came from this one place. So there's a good chance. I don't know if they were reusing chimps in Lancelot Link, but let's just say those are all. Let's say we just saw 15 different chimps who were hired for their different acting abilities.
I'd put money on at least a couple of them being from Festus.
Yeah. What's a chimp audition like? How's that go? They got an agent? Do they come in and be like, all right, I'll be reading for the part of Bubbles here will be reading for the
And
part
what's
of
the-
Baron von Chimpanzee.
And what's the casting couch situation?
Yeah, who's
Is there a
getting
Harvey Wine chimp?
that? Yeah. Harvey Weinchimp got his dick ripped off. You don't get the part. They just rip your genitals right off.
Yes.
In some ways, that'd be a more fair Hollywood.
Yes.
I think we just solved. Maybe that's how we solve the casting couch problem. Is we're like, all right, Harvey, we're gonna blindfold you, and we bring in Travis the chimp and let him rip Harvey's genitals right off.
Yeah. First, it rips his hands off, and then it rips his genitals off.
Yeah. I mean, of course, we got to do things in the proper order.
Well, if you watch that Chimp Crazy show, man, they talk about the story of Tanya and her chimp Tonka, who she had hidden in a basement while PETA was going after her. But in that story, they put in other stories of these chimps who grew up with these owners, got to be surly teenagers, and wound up attacking their owners.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just wild.
It's a lot different. I mean, teens are dangerous no matter what species. Human teens aren't great.
No, they suck.
But they won't, they might make a mean TikTok about, I've seen it. I've seen them record their parents saying off-color comments and getting them fired from their jobs. These are bad things. They don't rip your face and genitalia off your body.
No, I have 2 teenagers at home, and at least I don't think they would rip my hands off.
No, they destroy you psychologically. I've been around your teens. Mm-hmm. It's more of a inside-out destruction, not an outside-in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely the problem with chimp ownership, and I'll get into it with Tanya. I'm not afraid to wade into those waters about. I think there's a specific type people. It's that, and I'm going to ask her about this, but like the forever baby, like they're infantile for so long, and you get so attached. It's almost like they need all this loving care, and it's almost like having a perpetual 3 or 4 year old that's fun to be around. A perpetual 3 or 4 year old that throws its feces at you and swings from the trees, but still. Very infantile, and then they grow into a juvenile, and they get horny and angry, and they're too strong. They don't know their own strength. They're pissed off, and you're still stuck in this phase of like when they were infant-like, and you don't see some of the warning signs.
Yeah, well, Tanya keeps calling these chimps her kids, so.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a teen sanctuary? You could just send your Yeah, I guess that's what boarding school.
Yeah, that's what boarding school is.
Yeah, are they in boarding school? No, I sent them to a teen sanctuary where they can be around other teens. Because that's what teens need. They need more interaction.
Teens.
Yeah.
All right, Rafe, that's my 15 minutes. It was good talking to you, buddy.
Just storm out.
Yep.
See you later.
Done.
He's out of here, folks.
Bye, guys.
That's how this segment works. Otherwise, we sit here and talk all day, and the show never ends. So he's out of here. Say goodbye to my angry Italian soulmate. He's gone.
Bye, guys.
And that concludes this segment, 15 Minutes with Rizz. I'm excited to come back after a word from our sponsor here in 18 North Central Tactical Laser Tag Studios to hang out with none other than Tonia Haddix. Stay tuned after a quick word from our sponsors. And we're back. And I'm excited, guys. I promised a very special guest on this episode of the podcast, and I don't know if you can tell by my getup, but I dressed for the occasion because I would like to welcome to the show none other than star of Chimp Crazy, Tonia Haddix.
Hey.
Tanya, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it, and don't you look great?
I do. I feel like I look great. Do you find yourself a little attracted to me right now? Be honest.
Of course, you're a chimp, right?
All right. Well, let's get right into it in a segment I like to call The Annals of History.
From the Annals of History.
What better person to have on and talk about the annals of history than someone who just made history by one of the most popular shows on Max, Chimp Crazy. Tanya, once again, welcome to the show. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for putting up with me.
No, you're the best. I'm a fan. I'm excited to have you here. I dressed up for the occasion. I was asking you before if you'd ever seen Umbrella Academy, and you do watch that show.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like the guy from Umbrella Academy that has the ape body and the human head.
Yep.
And he just wants to be loved.
And you deserve love.
I agree. I do deserve love. We all do. You do too.
Agreed.
Do you feel like you get love?
Sometimes you get real good love, and then you get those haters, and then you feel like shit, but you'll get over it.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this. We've talked quite a bit before I had you on the show. I find you to be very sweet and endearing, and even if people don't agree 100% with your stances on everything, I think that at the heart of it, you seem like a decent and loving human being. So I appreciate you being here. So I want you to know you get love from me.
Well, thank you so much. I need that, and it feels good.
But let's talk about, you were kind of telling me before, times you weren't shown love. You were like, I'm sure you feel like a lot of times when you come on and do stuff like this, you feel like you're being ambushed or you're being goaded into some sort of trap to talk about, stuff that happened on the Chimp Crazy docuseries. And have you had bad experience with that since it's been on?
Oh, absolutely. And even before, like whenever the U.S. Marshals came inside the dish and got a hold of me, and they were going to, buttered you up the whole time that they were talking to you, saying that they wanted me to have my opportunity to tell my side of the story, that type thing. But it never works out that way. Basically, when she got here, she was this little tiny pencil-thin girl that thought she was all that, spent hours in makeup, and she had no clue what it'd be like to take care of animals or anything like that. And the first thing she hops out is her computer and saying, "Don't you think Tonka's better off?" and yada, yada, yada. And it started talking about all kinds of diets and different things. And I was like, listen, you're nothing but a PETA-loving bitch, so get the fuck out of my house.
Got her ass. Get out of here, bitch.
And it went like nowhere. And so they didn't air that episode. I never did see it, nothing, until the docuseries came out, and then they did it. And you can tell because I had dark hair then, and it was all kind of crazy curly and whatever. But yeah, they knew that they got nothing out of me, and it wasn't worth their while until the docuseries. And then it kind of, played on the crazy part that the docuseries portrayed me as, so then they could roll with it. But it took them that long to be able to even put it on TV.
Right. You had dark hair in the interview, huh?
Yeah, which is different. But I have gone black. I've gone whatever. But I always end up blonde.
Yeah, I feel like this is your signature look.
Yeah, I do too. In fact, I've tried different, but I just, nope, it just doesn't even look good.
Well, you look great.
Well, thank you.
And I've talked about it on this show with my co-host Rizz when he was on. We talked about watching the show, and and I say this in a respectful way. We were like, he's like, outside of all of the chimp craziness, like, Tanya's kind of hot, right? And I was like, damn right. And I'm like, I'm from a small rural area of Southern Illinois. You're from a small rural area in Missouri, the Springfield area, which I had family in Marshfield, Missouri, which is right by Springfield. So
for sure,
I would imagine we grew up similar circumstances, very rural, very blue collar communities, I would imagine.
Yes, and not crazy.
Yeah. Right.
Or they hid it. I mean, let's face it.
And it's like we talked about it on the show, and I'm like, hey, I see Tanya. It's VFW. We're up there. We're having some Coors Lights. We're having a good time. She's single. I'm single. I'm probably going to shoot my shot. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just being honest.
Well, for real. I mean, why not?
Right. That's what's up. I mean, you look like I'm a Reba McEntire fan. I'm a Dolly Parton fan. You're giving me Reba Dolly vibes all day long.
Well, great. Thanks. Hey, I love Dolly. I'm all for it, and I sure love Reba, too.
Yeah? Would you say you fashioned your look? I know you get compared to Dolly a lot. Do you like that? I think that's high honor, high praise.
Oh, I do for sure. She's the best to me, and she's very respectful. But yeah, no, three people yesterday while I was shopping actually said that. 3 different people, and 2 of them were women, so it's not all about the men thing. It truly is.
Yeah, Dolly transcends gender. She's popular with everybody.
For sure.
Well, you were telling me earlier that on the documentary we talk about the woman who was breastfeeding a monkey, and her name was Pam.
Yep, Pam Rosaire.
And I'm like, man, if you told me, hey, Pam and Tanya are down at the Moose Lodge and they're looking to party tonight, that's all a small town white trash boy needs to hear. I'm dropping everything I got going on, and I'm coming down and I'm partying with Pam and Tanya all day long. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah, that would be one hell of a party, let me tell you.
Yeah. What? Let's talk about that. You have such a commitment to taking care of chimps and taking care of, and now probably managing the fallout from being the most famous person in the world for at least a few weeks. What does Tanya, what do you do to kick back and unwind? Like, if we were going to, like, hey, let's go out and party, what would we do?
Well, first of all, I live on the lake, so then I like to go hop from one bar to the other at the lake, and
Yeah.
shots of anything, but particularly Fireball. If you get me on Fireball, look out.
Hey, that's learn. The girl you were just sitting next to in the other show we were on loves Fireball, dude.
Yep.
We just had a Halloween party. She got loaded on Fireball, got wild. She loves it.
I bet she did. I sure do.
I should have known. She's from a small town. You're from a small town. Both love leopard print. Both love Fireball. That's great. What? So you have been. So you just like the lake hop, party. There's nothing wrong with that. And they showed a little bit of that in the documentary. They showed you out there in your bikini on the lake, and I'm like, yeah, she wants to party. Like Tanya and Pam want to go on a boat. I'm on that boat.
And mind you, that was November. So
Damn.
can you imagine?
You're committed
Yes,
to the lake life, baby.
for sure.
Now, what did your parents do? Did you grow up on the lake?
Nope. Actually, grew up in Ozark, and my mom, she did nursing work, and my stepfather did construction. He was a roofer, so he roofed, and my real father was military,
What branch of the military?
Army,
Do you know what he did?
artillery.
That's what I did. I was a 13 Bravo in the U.S. Army.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
I was in
amazing.
Fort Sill, Oklahoma for a long time.
So was my father, and then he went to, in fact, that's where he died. He actually is buried at Fort Sill.
In Lawton?
In Lawton.
Oh, my gosh. Was he of lifetime?
He worked as a civilian for them after he retired, so he still was working for them when he passed away.
Did you see him often?
No, not really. Mainly, we had a really good stepdad, and he raised us. And honestly, my mom and dad always fought, so my
Yeah.
mom tried to keep us away from him as much as possible.
I get that. Well, if it's I can tell you this. Lawton, Oklahoma is, you'd be glad you didn't live there. It is the butthole of America.
Yeah.
It is not a fun place to hang out.
No, I went there for his funeral, and it was nothing I'd want to hang out for.
Okay, so you had a roofer, and your mom was a nurse, and was little Tanya was her dream always animal centric? Did you find yourself at a young age feeling like a little Dr. Doolittle, or is that something that came about later?
Actually, I always had dogs, but I always wanted a monkey since I was 5, and I always said I was going to have one. And so once my kids got adults, I ended up getting them, but my mom let us have pets. I mean, we had guinea pigs, and we had hamsters and that type stuff.
Yeah, I want a raccoon so bad. I just want a little domesticated raccoon to hang out with all day. They're little people hands. I love it.
Yeah, get you a chocolate one or a pink one.
What's that?
They breed specific colors if you go to a real breeder that breeds, and they are some pretty coons.
They make pink raccoons? Mm-hmm. That's insane. I have to look that up.
Yep.
So something you've talked about, back to the VFW, partying with Tanya and Pam. I don't know a little bit about your upbringing. How long have you been married for? You have a husband.
I've been married to this husband 4 years, or will be 4 years in March, and he's an animal guy too, so it makes it easy because he understands if you've got to stay home or if you've got to bottle feed or if you only have 4 hours to go play, to get back to go feed and then go play again. So he's kosher with everything that it takes to be an animal person.
Okay, so did you guys meet that way?
Yes, actually, he was selling me monkeys because everybody knew after me going to a couple of auctions that I definitely was an animal, definitely a primate buyer. And so everybody would hit me up when they had primates for sale. So
Okay. Who made the first move?
He did because he was drunk.
Where were you?
We were at the 5-H auction in Cape Girardeau, and it was when they had a dinner for appreciation for the people. And he was standing in line to get something to eat, but that whole day he was trying to hit on you. I mean, seriously, for real. And then his friend came up and was hitting on me, and it kind of pissed him off.
Oh, he had a little jealousy. Mm-hmm. Did you put the friend up to it? Be honest.
No, I didn't know the dude, so nope, I didn't.
That's great. So you guys met. you decided, he's like, hey, I sold you some monkeys. How about I slip you my monkey?
That's
and you
right.
were like, I'm all in.
That's right.
Did he
Kind
have
of something like that.
Well, and it's going well. You said, you said sometimes when he's being pissy, because you said in the doc that you loved chimps more than your husband, that he gets a little pissy about it. But I feel like if he's an animal guy, he gets it, right?
He does. Ultimately, at the end of the day, he does, because he knows that I love him. But in the same token, he loved Tonka. I'm not going to say as much as me, but he did love Tonka a lot. And he went out of his way to help me protect Tonka. So, there's a vibe there, too. So he can't, be too pissed off.
Yeah. Is there a type of guy you're attracted to?
No.
Do you have a type?
Not really. Not really. In fact, it kind of changes as you get older.
It does.
I think so.
What does it change to? Just like somebody that's low maintenance?
Low maintenance. Oh, hell yeah. And then secondly, as somebody that can kind of vibe with your vibe, so that it's not like oppositional,
Right. Because that opposites attract shit is great in the beginning.
Yes. And it can be fire, but then it can go south pretty damn quick.
Yeah, you ain't wrong about that, sister. I'll tell you that. Well, I will say this. I'm just going to ask you straight up. I have a bit of a silverback gorilla build.
Yes, you do.
I kind of got that. I look like I could rule with an iron fist, if you will. Especially when I put this costume on.
I know, it gives you power, doesn't it?
It does make me feel powerful. Let's just say we're out. We're in an Applebee's. You're single. I'm single. I bring my silverback energy to the bar. Do I have a shot? Do I at least have a shot at a date?
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Just your personality and you love fun-loving and that type of stuff. Oh, yeah, because you'd just go with it. So you'd get it. I could train you.
You'd have me down living in your enclosure.
Something like that.
I tell you what, I'd let you. I heard when you told me all the stuff you did for Tonka, I'm like, I want to live in Tanya's basement. Sounds like I'd love to be taken care of that way. So something I'm curious about with the release of the docuseries, I wanted to ask about your husband, and I wanted to tell, I am sure that I'm not the only one. Rizz and I aren't the only ones that were like, hey, Tanya's pretty hot. I am curious if with the incredible press and fame that came with this show, did you have guys or girls sliding in your DMs? Did you have people kind of trying to reach out in that way? Because, every documentary, no matter what, no matter how you're framed dude, people reach out to Ted Bundy.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So I know you're not that polarizing of a figure.
Hell no.
All you did was raise some chimps and show them love. And, whether people agree with chimps in captivity or not, I think your heart was always in the right place. So did you have people trying to slide in your DMs?
Oh, yeah. And like you said, male and female, but particularly male, for sure.
Yeah. What were some, can you give me some examples of what you were getting?
Oh, some of them said they wanted to be my chimp and that they'd be easily trained and la la la. And some of them just said how gorgeous I am and that they'd like to, take me wherever they live and they'd give me everything they want. Some of them say I'm their queen. And
damn.
Yeah, so.
Queen.
Yeah. Well, I've had a lot of that because, I somehow reached the gay population. They really love Tanya.
Yeah.
And
it's that Dolly vibe, dude.
Yeah, it's been big. And
Dolly's big with the gays.
Yeah, and I love it. I just embrace it because, they tell me all kinds of stories. The first one, I had a teacher, a drama teacher come in to the facility, and he had banana shorts on that were silky. And I had the best freaking time that I could have had with him. He was just amazing, had so much energy, and he screamed whenever he seen me, just like if I was gold, I was it was amazing. So I really enjoyed that a lot because they know how to relate with you and they can always make you feel good even on a bad day. So
sure.
It was amazing. Yep.
So you've had what are some of the ladies coming in with?
This weekend, I had a lady come in, and I mean, she could not believe that it was me. First of all, she had called me earlier in the week to schedule an appointment, and she hung up on me before I even said, just as I said hello, because she could not believe it was me, and she got too nervous because she admitted to me that later on. And then whenever she seen me, she was just so super excited, hugs, and we took pictures, and she brought me this big gift basket. And she's actually from the St. Louis area. Her and her family came down, and I have one coming in 18 days from Oregon. They're traveling all the way from Oregon. Can you believe that?
Yes.
So I'm super, super excited about that. In fact, she sent me a text yesterday saying 18 more days. So anyway, so I'm excited to look forward to that. And so I have a lot of good, positive vibes. And then you have those bitches that come on and they say that they wish that I could be put in a cell like Tonka and that type shit. But I just like delete.
Well, you're a polarizing figure. And that's not an insult. That's just, I think, the way the documentary was framed. And, you know, you've done this ad nauseum, and that's why I told you beforehand, I'm like, I don't even want to ask you the same. I've read all the articles, and anytime something's being made and a narrative is being served, there's probably a side to the story that the public's not getting to hear. And I feel like you've done a good job saying your side of the story in other interviews that you've done. And, you know, you even seem pretty reasonable in your thought process of like, you're like, you know, with you don't oppose legislation to change things. You're just saying, like, let's be reasonable about the way we think about things of, like, some of these chimps have been raised in captivity, whether you agree with it or not. They've been humanized. They live in air conditioning. They watch television. They have human interaction. That is what they're used to. So to just rip them away and send them to a sanctuary may not actually be in their best interest, and that's something that maybe should be handled on a case-by-case basis.
Correct. And in a light that is beneficial to the animal.
Right.
I mean, if we're going to do it, let's slowly but surely do it. But they've done it. And just like Save the Chimps, where Tonka went, they starved a chimp to death that was humanized, that was here from Missouri. Her name was Tiffany, and they got in trouble for that. I mean, it was noted. So it's all, I mean, anything I have to say can be backed up by, you know, articles and stuff. And so they already should have learned their lesson that you can't just immediately take something like a chimpanzee that is 98.8% like us and throw them into a jungle type setting or an island type setting without, you know, giving them an opportunity to slowly but surely adjust. So if they're going to do that, do it in a way that's constructive for the animal. But I don't see why they feel like they have to. I mean, what is the big fucking deal if Tonka's sitting in my basement eating ice cream? And again, he wouldn't have been in the basement. I had a barn made for him, but because PETA was looking for him and flying drones over my house and, you know, putting $20,000 reward out, I didn't have a choice at that point.
It was
like fly by the seat of my pants. You know, I didn't plan on it going like it went. I didn't think it all out, and here we are today. You know, so it wasn't like it was set plan A to B, how we were going to rob this place or whatever. You know, I was just trying to protect and save that kid because I had made a promise to him one night coming in at 2 a.m. From a transport that he would never have to work for anybody again, never have to fundraise for anybody, never have to breed again, never have to work commercials, never have to do anything but just be Tonka and just be happy. And that was what was my goal. And that's why I chose Tonka, and that's why I did what I did. But it wasn't to be mean to anybody else or to hurt anybody else or to even have to lie to anybody else. It was forced because of PETA being PETA.
Right. You made a choice in the moment, and, you know, that's all been hashed out in the documentary, and you've now I saw at one point, and something I did want to ask you about because it became unclear, and you may have answered this in an article that I haven't seen, and I apologize if it's redundant, but there was a point they were offering, whatever happened in court, they tried to dangle an offer of like, well, if you'll agree to not own any chimps or own any monkeys or own any primates, we're willing to either waive the restitution, that they felt like was owed or something like there was some kind of deal like that on the table. Am I right about that?
That is correct, but it wasn't anything to do about chimps or anything about owning monkeys.
Was it about dealing?
It was about dealing,
Okay.
exhibiting, or actually the only thing I could own is a private collection that was legal. But that included my husband. My husband had to sign too, and you got to realize he's had mobile petting zoos for over 30 years,
Right.
and there's no way he's going to give up that. I mean, no way.
So you did not take that deal?
No.
So does that mean, do you owe a ton of restitution?
Well, it's $225,000 and counting.
Oh, Lord, Barbara, that's a lot of money. $225K. So is that, is there any way for you to make a dent in that? Is there a way for you to get, because I mean, this show was wildly popular. I know you said $20 million was made, correct?
That's what is rumored. As you notice, if you ever Google that, it's very quiet, hush hush, so nobody really knows the number. But $20 million was thrown out to me because a friend of mine that's a reporter had seen $20 million somewhere.
Okay, so what is the name of the place you have in the Ozarks? What's the actual name of it?
Sunrise Beach Safari.
So is the Sunrise Beach Safari, is that helping keep you afloat? And because, I mean, that's probably an expensive property to maintain as well. It's very big. House is big, the property's big, and you have animals to care for.
Yes. Sunrise Beach Safari's been really good for us, not only because we get to be around the animals and do the things we love to do, but the other thing of it is it has paid the bills. And as far as making a dent in that, first of all, I personally think Eric Good and Good Entertainment should be the one making the dent in that, because our agreement was they help pay the attorney fees or legal fees, which to me includes that $225. Now, we have had that discussion, so like it's nothing he and I have not hashed out, and he disagrees with that, but you know, we can both have our moments to agree to disagree.
Sure. Yeah, and like, you know, I've talked to you about it, and you seem like you have a lot of forgiveness in your heart. You know, like there's love-hate relationships, but you still, I don't get the vibe that you see everything in black and white. I think that you see in shades of gray, and it seems like you have empathy, not just for chimps, but also for the humans involved in this whole story, you know, including yourself. And you're like, you know, everybody's trying to do what they think is right, but it's not necessarily that black and white. But aside from, you know, maybe Mr. Goodman, you seem like you have at least some understanding and empathy for people, even on the other side of the argument from you.
I do, and I'm willing to negotiate or willing to hash that out in a sense that's respectful. And that's what I've always told PETA. It's okay if you oppose me, but don't try to desecrate me or destroy me. Treat somebody with respect. And if you're going to do something, do it productively, not non-productively. So if you're going to have a conversation with me, I'd hang up the phone with them, like when we were doing like Zoom meetings or meetings, because they would call me a chimp abuser. And there's no cause in that. And that doesn't get you anywhere, except it makes you pissed off. So you're not even listening to what they have to say. And you want to hang up the damn phone on them.
That creates a combative atmosphere.
And everybody thought I was oppositional toward them, but they made me be oppositional toward them by the way they treated me, because you can ask Connie. Connie passed out like a day or so before her deposition with them, because they literally treat you like garbage, and nobody deserves to be treated like that. You can have your opinion about that certain situation, but you can do it respectfully.
100%. Well, I think you handle it well. I think you show humility and understanding, and you know, it's you're in a tough spot. Like they thrust you into the national spotlight, and you know, I have empathy for that. That you cared for these animals, and you know, you're just trying to have your side of the story told, which I think is also important. I want to get back to, that's enough serious talk.
Yeah.
Let's get back to some silly shit. I want to talk about when the chicks slid into your DMs, what kind of game were they throwing at you?
Oh, kind of both sides. You know, you have those.
Did you have some people trying to do like three-way type stuff, like thruples?
No, but definitely
Swingers with you and the hubby?
Definitely wanting a personal relationship and
Okay.
in the bedroom type thing. And yeah, it was interesting because I didn't even know that anybody would find that to be even a thought process. But yes, I guess because I could handle the chimps, and you have that kind of masculine side, but then you have this feminine side to where you wear makeup and do different things. They kind of was turned on by that. So
Yeah.
a lot of women were there to just pick up where a man could.
Yeah, banana split, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
What did you have any? Because I'm curious, because you are married and your husband's in the trade. Swinger culture is huge. I'm surprised you guys aren't both getting propositioned. And how did your husband handle it when you were thrust into fame and people were sliding into your DMs? What's his take on it? Does he just laugh it off? Do you tell him about it? How does he handle it?
I generally don't say a whole lot because this is not his deal. He absolutely hates what's happened, and he doesn't deal with it very good.
Oh.
And so then I get the grunt of it, if you know what I mean. I
Yeah.
mean, he just can't help it because he thinks that, this 5 minutes of fame or 15 minutes of fame, whatever it is,
Right.
thing is just basically destroying our life. So he's not a happy camper. So it's kind of like that's just not a good topic to talk about.
So you don't tell him that you got ladies sliding in your DM trying to bump tacos or anything
No,
like that?
because he even sees it, at the facility whenever we're there, and he's like, oh, another one of those, type thing.
Yeah, and I would imagine if you have obsessed fans, they know exactly where to find you.
Exactly.
You
And
know?
I work the front desk, so there's no avoiding, and
Right.
so it is one of those things. But he don't deal very good at all.
Well, I have empathy for him because I'm sure he's in a spot where he loves you and he doesn't want to see you hurt, and he probably feels like if you were misrepresented in a certain light. If it was my girlfriend or my partner and I felt like they were under fire, I have a little, maybe it's toxic masculinity to some degree, but you get a little bit of the protector. Mm-hmm. You want to protect that person, and I'm sure he feels like he wants to see you protected as well.
Yeah. I think he's very jealous of things, but
Yeah.
and I get it because he's always been a jealous type person anyway. So
Ooh, a jealous guy. Do you like that a little bit? Some people like when their partner gets jealous.
no, I don't, because then it gets accusatory, and I don't like that.
Yeah,
You
we
know
don't
how
want that. That's a different kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've seen that before where people get jealous and it's they call it the green monster, for a reason. Like my friend's wife gets really jealous of when she's drinking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she just becomes a totally different person where I'm like, oh, you're not even yourself anymore. You're consumed by this fantasy that some girl that said excuse me to your husband in a bar is trying to take him out in the parking lot and bang him in the back of an El Camino.
know. I say, really? I mean, to me, it's like, no, that's a big turnoff to me because,
Yeah.
first of all, you should be confident enough that I want to go home with you,
Yeah.
period. But if not, then, it is what it is. But
I hear you. How many times have you been married?
well, I was married to a guy before named Gary, and he passed away in 2020.
Okay. Were you married when he passed away?
No, we had gotten divorced because he had got caught up with some drugs, and I just couldn't do the drug thing. But we were good
That's
friends. We were really good friends, and he still came up to visit me up at Connie's, and when he was on life support and stuff, I was always there, that type thing. Really
Okay.
good person. I have nothing bad to say at all about that situation. He was really good to me. And I have still a relationship with his dad.
That's great.
I get to talk to him. He lives out in California. We haven't seen each other, but we do talk. And when the docuseries came out, he told me that he had no problems with it, and he supported, me and that type thing. So really good relationship there. And then my other husband passed away in 2001 with esophageal cancer.
Okay. And you were married to him at the time?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was his name?
Terry. His name was Terry.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Gary, Terry, and now Jerry?
Uh-huh. No, right?
Tonia Haddix. I think you do have a type. And you just don't want to, you only want to change one letter on the bathrobes.
That's it.
She's like, these chimps cost a lot of money. I can't be dating a guy with a
we
whole
can't
different
afford that.
name.
Yeah, we can't afford that.
Now I'll make the G a T. Now we got a Terry. I'll cross out the T. I'll make it a J. Now we got a Jerry. So if you're a guy out there and your name is Barry or Larry, hold tight.
Yeah, exactly.
You could be possibly Tanya's future husband if Jerry doesn't get his shit together. That's very, very funny. Let me ask you a couple quick questions, and we're going to play a game, a quick game
Sure.
that I hope you're familiar with, and then we'll get into the next segment, okay?
Okay, perfect.
Here's one it's kind of silly. If your chimps could talk back, if they could actually physically talk, what would they say about you behind your back?
Oh. First of
If
all,
they were talking shit on mama, because we all talk shit. I got two brothers. We talk shit on our mom. What do you think they would say about you behind your back?
well, first of all, they'd probably talk about my hair. They'd be like, Mom, you don't have to have your hair perfect, because they would always like to try to touch your hair. And I'm like, no. I mean, they could hug me. They could do whatever they want, but the hair is off limits. So they definitely have a problem with the hair.
You were basically like Ace Ventura. Nobody touches the dew.
Yes.
Okay. So you think they talk about that, huh?
Oh, for sure. In fact, they'd probably want to run their fingers through it just to piss me off.
Would that piss you off? My next question was, what was their favorite way to get under your skin? Was that it?
Yes, or not moving over when you wanted them to, so you could clean cages at that time. So you just learn to be patient and change your direction and retry later.
Okay. If you were going to write a memoir about your life with the chimps, what do you think the title of the memoir would be?
Happiest 5 years of my life.
Oh,
Truth.
I believe you. It kind of seems wild that it was only 5 years,
I know.
honestly.
It was a crazy 5 years because it was from jump go, because the lawsuit had already been in process, and I smacked full dab into it. So
Yeah, you kind of dove in head first.
Yeah, so it wasn't like I could have a chance to gear up and it not be my lawsuit, because it wasn't even about me. It was about Connie and the chimps. I just happened to want to help the kids.
Okay. Before we get into the game, I'll give you this opportunity. Is there anything we don't know about Tonia Haddix? And it doesn't have to be chimp related, just something interesting. It can be whatever you want.
Well,
Is there anything we don't know about you that you think people should know?
that, I love kids, and that I used to be a foster parent. So it wasn't just about animals, it was about kids too, helping kids.
Yeah, I feel like you were a foster parent to human children. Because I know we refer to the chimps as kids sometimes, so I want to be
Right,
clear.
always, I do.
We're talking about human children. And how long were you a foster parent for?
Probably about 5 years. I adopted my little girl. That's how I got her.
So your little girl is adopted from when you were a foster parent. And how old is she now?
She's 30. Well, she was born in 92, so she's 30, whatever.
Okay.
32, almost 33.
And you have her and your biological son.
And he's 2 years younger.
And which husband is the father of him?
Terry.
Terry. So husband 2. All right.
Actually, that's husband 1. Terry was first, then Gary, and
Terry, then Gary, then Jerry. I should have known that, honestly. I don't know what I was thinking. It was Terry, then Gary. Gary's a gateway to Jerry. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
So, because the G could be pronounced J. Everybody knows that. And you said, where your son was in the dock, your daughter wasn't really in it, and that was just because she didn't live near you.
No, and Justin just happened to be there.
Sure. How does your daughter feel about your newfound, quote unquote, 15 minutes of fame?
She's not real fun. I mean, you got to realize she's a fetal alcohol syndrome kid. So she just gates her own way. And Erica lives in Erica world every day. So she just hangs in there. She tried to call me last night, but I didn't get a chance to get it. I was busy cutting up food and stuff for the capuchins, but definitely, I mean, she's a wonderful kid. She's amazing. But
That's great.
yeah, but the thing of it is I'm not sure she really fully conceives what it really amounts to.
Oh, yeah. Where does she live?
Outside of Springfield and Nixa.
Okay, Nixa. I know that very well. I believe Lauren's husband, who you would just learn, who was just on the other show, is from Nixa.
Really?
Born and raised. So
Yep.
she has family there. A lot of connections with our show.
Yeah, no
and where
doubt.
you're at.
Yep.
And I think here's something I noticed, and you can tell me if you think I'm right or wrong. I do notice when I watched the doc, it seemed like, not you specifically, but as they went through the different types, because they did a lot of flashbacks to different chimps,
Right.
and different chimp ownership. I noticed a trend of what seemed to be predominantly women. They got into that had nurturing personalities. Mm-hmm. They kind of get into chimp ownership. And it almost seemed like, and it's interesting to hear that you used to foster children and you used to nurse as well, right? You used to be a nurse.
For 30-some years. Mm-hmm.
So for 30 years, you were a nurse, you were a foster parent, then you raised, it seems like, I can sense a trend there of caring for others.
Correct.
Or that you get your energy or maybe your sense of purpose from giving some sort of nurturing care to other individuals. And I sensed that a lot when I watched the doc, that a lot of the women specifically that were in, where we ran into problems a lot of the times was, and you'd said this in a previous recording, that you get too close to it and your nurturing nature maybe makes you blind to a couple warning signs of when chimps are aging into that age where they're getting aggressive and maybe have been humanized, but now there needs to be a new phase. When we saw the stuff with Travis and all the stuff that happened in Stamford, Connecticut, I felt like do you feel like there is a specific type of person who's attracted to this world? Because I felt like I saw some similarities in like women who kind of wanted to nurture, and in some ways the chimpanzees became forever babies because they kind of stay in that baby phase for a very long time. Do you think that that's a fair assessment, or do you think I'm off base on that?
No, I do. I think even all like monkey people, they have this need to want to nurture something, and they dedicate their life. And let me tell you, there's some hardcore monkey people that dedicate 24/7 of their life to take care of these primates. So yes, I do feel like you have to have some kind of wanting to give or to care give for something to be able to do that, for sure.
Yeah. Cool. Well, then I guess I was onto something there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have, I met you through a listener, Monkey Man Dan. Mm-hmm. And I think he and his wife are going to come on and bring some capuchins in, which I'm excited about.
Are they bringing capuchins or spiders?
Maybe spiders.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think spiders. They have a capuchin. But yes, they have a small sanctuary. It's Texan and Daniel. Really amazing people. They do amazing work. She's amazing with those kids. But definitely a lot of dedication. And in fact, he sent me a message this morning as I'm driving in saying that he hopes that I enjoy this and that, to tell you, shout out to you, to say hello to you from them. And yeah, they are amazing people, and they definitely dedicate their life to those primates.
Yeah, that's great. And I look forward to having them on. Let's see here. Let's see if I got a couple questions I want to ask you before we play this game, and then we'll get into it. Because I want to kind of get to know you a little bit. And some of these are silly, but I want to know if, Halloween's coming up, and there's going to be a ton of Tonia Haddix,
Yep.
Tonka costumes.
100%.
You're having a contest, right?
Yes, we are on our podcast or on our TikTok page because a lot of people would send me messages, and they even text me some, because my phone's easily accessible because of the Safari and stuff. You can get my phone number. So a lot of people had been texting me pictures
Yeah.
of what they're going to dress up as. And some of them got permission because they didn't want to disrespect me or seem disrespectful. And I was like, hell yeah, go for it. And be sure you shoot me pictures so I could see what you look like to, maybe give me some ideas, so to speak. But anyways, so long story short, it's been amazing. To me, it's crazy to know that somebody wants to dress up like me because I've been me forever, that type thing.
It's a cool thing.
It is a cool thing.
I had a character I played called Ronnie Jenkins Trump.
Oh, really?
Where I played, and this was early 2020, where I played where Donald Trump's illegitimate brother from Poplar Bluff, Missouri, who was trying to prove his lineage by getting a lock of Donald's hair to prove he was Donald's half brother. And I had, it did well on YouTube, and I had someone dress up as Ronnie for Halloween, and I got to be honest, it was like a badge of honor.
It kind of is if you think about it. And anybody that, too, is interested in coming out to meet you. I mean, for people to fly from Oregon to come see you,
yeah,
I'm just like, I'm normal. And it's funny, when they see me, they're like, you're just like us. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, you're like, other than 2 months ago, I was just like you.
Yeah, exactly.
This is new to you.
Yeah, and it's not something, because everybody's like, well, do you mind if I take a photo? No, I don't mind. I mean, I don't know exactly why you want it, but sure, no, I'm all about being me and, sharing my animals and that type of thing. So I've not changed, and I will not change, because I'm about the animal and about what matters to them. And I mean, I'm always going to be, my mom always taught me, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So I always tell everybody, scroll past. If you don't like my post, scroll past. You don't have to be ugly. You don't have to cause a big stir, act like you're all that. Just scroll past. I mean, everybody has their own glitches. Everybody has their own likes, and so be it. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. Just go.
Yeah, and you seem like you're handling what I would call overnight crazy fame pretty well.
Yeah. Well,
I've seen it change people, and I'm the same way. I've been around way more famous comedians than I am, and I've seen. It's strange when you see someone react to a person in a way that's like, whoa, they're crying. They met this person, and they're like, they flew 3 states to just be in the proximity of this person that, you just know them as a friend.
Yeah, and it is strange. And I am grateful that, people have supported me, because at first I was so felt humiliated, and I was like, oh my gosh, everybody's gonna know, and people are gonna be so nasty. And I was like, and then whenever I started getting these love supports and this actual fan base, if that's what you want to call them, people following you and people really saying to you, you know what, if I was in your shoes, I would have did the same thing. You don't know how amazing that felt, because I was like, for a long time, because of the AR world and PETA, I felt like, nobody was on my side.
Right.
And I haven't got a lot of good support from people I thought I should have got support from, like monkey people that I've dealt with for years. There's a lot of them that are afraid to be supportive, even though they want to, because they're afraid they're going to get blackballed. And then I have John Q. Public, who doesn't even know me, and just seen the docuseries, and they're like 100% Team Tanya, and that's what they say, Team Tanya. And I'm just like, it's amazing to me. This gave me a wake-up call, because I've always been so kind to people. I would give people monkeys and let them pay out the money and that type stuff, and I've given them discounts. I've driven to Florida to pick up a dog for somebody and only charge them $300, that type thing, because I was going that way anyways. And all those people that you thought would support you are gone. They're trashing you, and you're just like, really? I'm the same person that I was 6 months ago, and all I'm keep saying, well, you just sold us out for fame. Okay, no, because first of all, I didn't know it was going to end up being this.
Yeah.
And secondly is, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to react? I have to get my story out there somehow, some way.
Right.
Because if not, it makes me look even crazier and stupider than what I truly am. And I hope that once somebody knows me, they can say, okay, she is fun. She's normal. No, I'm not normal. Let's face it.
But you're a manageable level of crazy, which I respect the fuck out of.
Yeah, exactly. But at least I own it,
Yeah.
And so that's my whole thing.
You do. And is that something that, because there was a You had the option to not let this get released. Is that?
No. I begged them, please don't release this, but they would not.
So how did they get you to sign off on your likeness being used?
I didn't. I didn't sign off anything.
Okay.
Nope. They had me sign off a release saying that they could film like at Connie's place back in the day, but it was with Dwayne, not with Eric Good Entertainment.
So basically, because they had that NDA, even though they used a proxy director, you were still on the hook, for them to use the footage.
Yeah, and
but you participated after you found out.
I did.
What made you make that decision?
Because they dangled the carrot. I should have known from the beginning that they're not really out for Tanya. But you got to realize besides Eric, we all became close. All those people looked out for me. I had a broken ankle. They would carry my crutches for me. They would, they were just normal people doing their jobs. Like the film crew. They weren't in this like.
They weren't coming for your head.
They weren't. And they didn't even know really what it was about. You know what I mean? And how big it was going to get or how crazy it was going to get. Right. And so they are innocent people too. So you can't be mean to them. And they were good to me. If I had a bad day, like one time I remember Bryce, this young kid that works for Eric, ordered me pizza after they left and had it delivered to my front door.
That's nice.
They were always very kind and gracious to me. And so I can't really be mad. The only one I can be mad at is Eric Good. And he'll tell you, we have a love-hate relationship. It's not like it's not known to the world or to him. It's not like I talk shit behind his back. I say it to his face because there was times I'd text him and he'd finally get tired of it and he'd put it on silence because he was going to hear me out because I'm like, dude.
But you do that. It seems like you do hear each other out.
Yes.
Which I think is admirable. Like, you are on opposing sides of things. You don't completely shut him out. He doesn't completely shut you out. I think you found a little bit of at least common ground to communicate, which I think, it's hard to do. And that's kind of, I think ultimately letting it come out was probably the right decision for you because I think you've handled your side of it well. So I commend you for that.
Well, thank you.
Something we were talking about, you were like, scroll past, I'm going to keep being myself. When I think about scrolling, I think about what's Tanya's algorithm like in her phone? If you got your phone out right now and scrolled through Instagram, what would I see?
A lot of Chimp Crazy stuff.
It's a lot of your stuff? Or just a lot of chimp stuff?
Just a lot of chimp stuff, because whenever I first went on, I couldn't even go, okay, I'm going to be honest. I have my own personal Facebook page, I have my personal TikTok, and I have my personal Instagram.
Right.
Those are nothing. I hardly ever posted on them except Facebook. So with that said...
Well, when you open those up and scroll, what's getting fed to you is what I want to know.
A bunch of chimps and a bunch of monkeys because I watch Doc Antle and Tonka's boys because they are Tonka's sons. And so there's a lot of monkey things, a lot of that type of stuff. So that's what you're going to find is a bunch of monkey stuff.
And since you were in the most probably watched, I would think, documentary on Max for the year, maybe the most watched thing they put out, period.
They said 4 years, so.
Yeah. What do you watch? When you Netflix and chill, when Tanya kicks back and gets 5 minutes to herself, what are you watching on streaming?
On streaming, I do Paramount because I love
what shows?
Tulsa King. I love that.
You like Stallone?
Yes, I love Stallone. I do a lot, and that's really my all-time favorite right now. Waiting on the Duttons to come back on, so Yellowstone.
Love you some Yellow.
Yes, I'm so anxious about that.
I have a joke in my act that I have quite a blue-collar cowboy aesthetic, and I'm like, I say I look like a guy who can't come unless an episode of Yellowstone's on. And I'm like, but have you seen Rip Wheeler?
I know, right?
Come on.
Who wouldn't, right?
You'd do a three-way with Rip Wheeler, wouldn't you? With Rip and Beth, I think you and Jerry are swinging for sure.
Hey, I bet.
That's a great show. So Yellowstone, Tulsa King. Is there anything else like all-time fave?
Not really. Now when
do you have a show that's like sometimes when in the background I'll put on Seinfeld. Like I have a comfort show that I'm like I've seen it.
Friends. I love Friends.
You love Friends?
Yep.
Which Friends character do you relate to the most?
Rachel. I love Rachel.
You're a Rachel. Mm-hmm. I thought you were going to, I'll be honest. I thought you were going to say Joey or Phoebe.
I was to say Phoebe would be my next. She would be.
Okay.
And I love Joey. I mean, hey.
But you're a Rachel gal.
I am.
I'm a Joey man.
I love Joey.
I'm a Joey man. How
I
you
do
doing?
love Joey. Yep. How you doing?
That's great. Let's see. I'll end on this. Let me see. If you could, I'm going to give you 2 quick questions that are kind of off the wall, and then you can just give me quick answers, okay?
Uh-huh.
If you could invite any 3 fictional characters over for a dinner party, who would you choose and why?
Oh, that's not good. Tarzan. I want Tarzan to come.
Okay.
Because Cheetah.
Just because you think he'd bring Cheetah?
I know he'd bring Cheetah. And wouldn't that be a hell of a party? Anyways, and then I would want
Is Tarzan your dream man in some ways?
yeah, kinda. Yeah.
He's raised by apes, ape-like qualities,
Yep.
but
And
still slinging that human dong, you know what I
right,
mean?
And he'd get the vibe. Yep. And I love Rambo, Sylvester Stallone, definitely.
But you would want him to come as Rambo?
Yeah.
Out of all of his characters, not Rocky?
Oh, I was going to say that would be a big toss-up because I do love Rocky because he's on that soft side and he's
Yeah.
always good to his woman, you know, but then again, he's a hell of a fighter.
Yeah.
And he also has a heart, so I'll go with Rocky because
Yeah.
Rambo kind of, yeah.
All right.
And
Yeah,
then-
Rambo wouldn't talk much. He would mumble to himself. Rambo had too much PTSD. You don't want him at your dinner party. Rocky will be entertaining and kind.
You're so funny.
So who's the third? We got Rambo. We got Tarzan.
Oh, who else?
So far, I am sensing a type here.
Are you really?
Seems like you like a strong man who will defend.
That, but then, you know, as somebody that I really, really, truly love, if I was going to pick one, is Adam Sandler.
Yeah, that's a real person.
I like Adam Sandler, but I like any of his characters that he ever did, like 50 First Dates. I love him
Yeah.
in 50 First Dates. But, yeah, I go
So out of all the Sandler characters, that's who you...
50 First Dates, yeah.
Or not Robbie.
I can't even remember.
Not Robbie from The Wedding Singer. Not
Nope, but I did
Happy
like
Gilmore.
Robbie. I like those two, but definitely 50 First Dates.
Okay,
and
so
I
we
don't
got-
even know that. I know he was a scientist, but I don't know.
What a
why.
party you'd have. You
When
got
it-
Tarzan and Cheetah hanging out with Rocky and Adam Sandler from 50
It'd be
First
diverse.
Dates.
Let's say that.
What a
It'd be
great
diverse.
party. Okay, and finally, I'll ask you this. If you could time travel
Uh-huh.
and give one piece of advice to your past self, what would you say? Where would you travel to, what age, and what would you say?
I would travel back to whenever I first met Connie and wish I had the knowledge that I have now, and I would really change things up, and I would be able to successfully keep the kids.
What would you say, though?
I would say to myself, first of all, don't let PETA piss you off. Don't hide Tonka. Fight legally for him, and that's it.
Okay. Would you still make the doc?
No.
You'd be like, don't let them bring cameras in here.
Yeah, never. I would never allow that.
Okay. That's fair. Well, I tell you what, that's all I have for this segment. I appreciate you doing the Annals of History with me. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to play a game and do another segment where we're going to talk about some messages I got on the show, and I'll get your opinion and advice too. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
All right, we'll be back after a quick break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the number 2 show. I'm your host, Rafe Williams. I'm here with my very special guest, Tonia Haddix. Tanya,
Hey.
just had so much fun talking to you for a while. Now we're going to get into a segment I like to call Tank Talks. That's right. We're going to do Tank Talks. And Tanya, this is a segment where I'll take emails, messages. I have a hotline people call, and I'll have them call in. They ask me for wild advice on stuff. Sometimes there's no advice to be given. Sometimes it's just a drunken message. We'll find out together, and then I'll read a couple emails, and we'll get your input on them too. Does that sound good to you?
Perfect. Yeah,
Great.
no, I love it.
But before then, though, I want to play a quick. I prepared a quick game to play with Tonia Haddix,
Okay,
and
let's go.
Are you familiar with the game known as Fuck, Marry, Kill? I'm assuming you've played this game if you are from a small rural area, as I am.
No, not unless it's called something different.
Sometimes it's called kiss, marry, kill. So what it is I'm going to give you 3 people. You gotta fuck one, marry the other, kill the other. So it's like if I said Chandler, Ross, and Joey.
Oh, that's easy. I would fuck Joey,
Okay.
kill Ross,
Yeah.
and marry Chandler.
That is the correct answer. That is 1,000% the correct answer. So you get it. That's it. That's the game. I'll give you 3 choices, and you got to make a choice. And sometimes they're going to be tough, but
Okay.
this is fuck, marry, kill. That's how we play it. So, are you ready to play
You
number
betcha.
2 show, Fuck, Marry, Kill with Tonia Haddix? All right, Tanya.
Go.
Think about this closely. Fuck, marry, kill. Rafiki from Lion King, Curious George, and Donkey Kong.
Well, I would kill Rafiki.
Okay, Rafiki's gone.
Marry Donkey Kong. And Curious George, I'd have to no. So if I kill Rafiki, so I'd have to marry Curious George.
Yeah, you have to bang Donkey Kong.
Yeah, no, that'd be yeah.
I think that's the right move, honestly. I think Donkey Kong would be good for one roll in the hay.
Yeah,
because you don't want to marry that guy.
Curious George would be boring for that. If
Yeah.
that was your one night stand type thing. So
Right.
we definitely have to marry him because he's longevity.
Yes, Rafiki's
Yeah,
he's knowledgeable, but he's old.
and he's not all that. So.
He's not all that.
No.
Curious George is a cutie. Seems like long term he'd care about your needs. Donkey Kong, I think he could pick you up, toss you around in a motel for a night. One time. But then you don't want that guy. He's throwing barrels every night. He's coming home drunk. He's throwing barrels all around the house.
Yeah.
And you don't deserve that.
No, that would get
You
old
said you
fast.
don't like jealous guys. You don't want Donkey Kong. All right, well, that's settled. Rafiki's dead. Curious George is at the altar, and Donkey Kong is getting one roll in the hay. Here we go. Next up, here's 3. Think closely about these, Tanya. Sock Monkey, Magilla Gorilla, and Marcel from Friends.
Oh, I definitely would marry Marcel.
Marry Marcel.
I would kill the sock monkey because he's just dull and drab. So then
makes sense.
I would have to fuck the gorilla.
Yeah, I'm sensing a theme here. The gorillas are good for the one-nighters, right?
Yes.
What?
Strong and
Yeah.
ready to rock.
Yeah, this is like me at Applebee's when I talked about like the big silverback comes up to you at an Applebee's. Is like, you mind if I buy this 2 for $20 platter? And you're like, you know what?
yeah.
You'll do for a night, fella. You'll do for a night. All right. Well, there it is. Sock Monkey, you're dead. Magilla Gorilla, you're getting laid. And Marcel, you got a lifelong happy life with a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful woman. All right. Now, this one's going to be a little tougher. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
King Louis from the Jungle Book, King Kong, and King Proximus Caesar from Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Okay. I would kill the king from Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
I would
He's gone. He was a dick anyway.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. He definitely was. And King Kong, I would. Oh, that one's a tough one because you know what? I bet he'd be a good role in the hay. But in essence, I would want to marry him because he definitely is a protector.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and marry him, and I may make that as a mistake.
Yeah.
And then for the third one, yeah, I guess we'll have to do King Louis.
You're going to bang King
Yeah,
Louis?
King
Hey, at least
Louis.
he'll sing you a nice song.
Yeah.
You know.
But that one would be a toss.
Do you remember that song from the Jungle Book?
Yes,
I love that song.
I do too. I liked
I
him
go,
too.
listen to me,
me,
man
like-
cub.
Uh-huh.
Tell me what you do. Give me the power. A man's red flower, and I'll make a deal with you. And how's the chorus go? I want to walk like you.
Talk like you.
Like you. Can you sing? Do you sing karaoke?
No. I go
I
to
feel
karaoke.
like you. I feel like you're lying. I feel like when you're home alone.
Dude, whenever I'm home alone or in the car, I always sing. But out in public, fuck no, unless I had a few fireballs.
How many fireballs to get you? And if you do sing, what's your go-to karaoke song?
2 fireballs would do me because I'm a lightweight.
Okay.
But, and my anything Kenny Chesney. I love Kenny Chesney.
Yeah, you're part of Barefoot. What's that called? Barefoot Nation?
Yes.
You're a Chesney fan, huh?
I definitely am, but my favorite now is a big bear jelly roll. I love jelly.
Yeah.
I love jelly.
I know Bunny.
Do you?
Through so
love-
I do a lot of work with Trailer Trash Tammy, and she
Oh, wow.
is friends with Bonnie. So I
Yeah.
haven't met Jelly yet, but through that 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon connection, I hope I get to meet him someday because he seems like a genuinely
an
nice dude.
amazing guy. Yeah, him and his wife both. I just have so much respect for them.
So,
folks. I do.
Yeah,
And she's beautiful. She's
She is.
absolutely beautiful.
You got some Bunny qualities. Bonnie kind of looks like Dolly a little bit too.
I would consider that a compliment.
It
but-
is a compliment, 100%. I wouldn't say that if I didn't mean it in a complimentary way.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's a hottie boom body.
Oh, she is. And not only that, just her personality.
Yeah,
oh
she's
my
cool
God.
as hell, dude.
She is. Now,
So-
that's one we'd want to hang out at a party with, right?
Yeah, I mean you can invite them to your dinner party.
Yeah.
I'll let you have a 4th guest.
Yeah, we got to have her because she would definitely liven up that party.
So to recap, Caesar's dead. Louis is getting laid. King Kong is the new husband in this situation. I see where you're coming from with King Kong, all right? Like, PETA wouldn't be fucking with you hard if King Kong was around.
No.
Because he would pick all of PETA's lawyers up in one hand and sling them halfway across the country.
Yes. And as you notice, they put him in the docuseries
Yeah.
because of the fact that he's a protector, kind of like Tonka was my protector.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yep.
All right, I got a couple more for you. Think about this one. Here's the next one. Ready?
Okay.
Monchi cheese. Do you remember those?
I had the Monchi cheese. Yep. They're
Loved
real
them.
cute. Yes.
Had a ton of them when I was a kid. Monchi cheese.
Now you're getting me singing that song.
What is it?
They did the Monchi cheese, Monchi cheese.
Monchi cheese, Monchi cheese. Oh, my little Monchi
Monchi
cheese.
cheese.
Yeah, it'll get stuck in your head. I'm surprised you know it. Many people do not know that song.
Really?
That's like I remember that and my favorite commercial growing up stuck in my head. And then you know what? It may have been Chimps from. I'll show it to you when we're done with this. I'm so excited. Let's put a pin in that because I remember the Monchi Cheese song and I want to play you my favorite commercial. And I want to see if you remember it because it's constantly playing in my head. And I wonder if any of the Chimps came from the Sanctuary. So we're going to go Monchi Cheese, the Monkees, the band, all 4 of them. Davy Jones, Mickey Dolenz, all of them, and Monk, the actor Monk, Tony Shalhoub. Monchi Cheese, the Monkees, and Monk.
We'll definitely have to get rid of the monk, so we'll kill him off.
Monk, you're gone. Tony
Yeah,
Shalhoub,
for
so
sure.
long.
Yeah. And then we will definitely fuck the monkeys. I mean, hello, it
Yeah.
would be a given. You have multiple choices, so
Oh,
surely
yeah.
to God, you know.
Yeah, Davy Jones he's a heartthrob.
And then we'd have to marry the Munchie cheese.
Yeah, you got to marry the Monchi Cheese, right?
Yeah, now that might be fun.
You get all of them.
Yeah, and you only wake up every day in a different world, right?
Yeah, and you
So
know
then-
what? I remember I dehydrated when I was like 5 years old and spent Christmas in the hospital.
Uh-huh.
And when I came home, that was like the big gift that year. And they saved Christmas for me, and there was a bunch of Monchi cheese hanging from the Christmas tree. And I remember
cool.
that, and
Oh,
I was like so
cool.
hyped about it.
Oh, yeah, that's exciting.
And I think that's why they're stuck in my head. All right, final one. Maybe the toughest yet. The Flying Monkeys from Wizard of Oz. Clyde from Every Which Way But Loose. Remember that movie?
I love him.
Love Clint Eastwood. Right Turn,
I
Clyde.
hated that they killed him.
Flying Monkey from Wizard of Oz, Clyde from Every Which Way But Loose, and Jared Goodman, lawyer for PETA.
Oh, this is easy.
Okay.
We'll definitely destroy that bastard real quick. So Jared Goodman's out the door.
No!
In a torturous way.
Yeah.
And so he's dead.
I thought maybe there might be some canned heat between you, like a secret, like just like a hate fuck in there somewhere,
Oh,
but no.
fuck, not that thing.
All right, he's dead.
He's
Jared's
Pee-wee
dead.
Herman. He's Pee-wee Herman. No. No, I have a doll of him, a voodoo doll of him. And it,
Holy
no.
shit.
Oh, no, he's out the door. And so then Clyde would be a protector, so he'd be a good husband. But then again, I'll go ahead and say I'll fuck Clyde,
Okay.
and then I'll marry.
You're marrying all the flying monkeys.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be kind of cool to have an army of flying monkeys considering what you're going through.
Yeah, for sure.
Because now you got an air attack, right?
Yeah. Oh, for
You know.
sure. No drones, PETA.
No
Just
need for drones.
flying monkeys.
Plus, like, monkeys are already amazing. Imagine if you had a flying one.
And they probably can't charge them with things, right? So then they could get by with a lot.
Yeah, they could definitely do your bidding. That's for sure. All right, so we're going
and that'll
with...
be the Wicked Witch, right?
Yeah,
Ooh,
but that's
yeah.
all right. The Wicked Witch of the Ozarks.
That'll work.
There's
That'll
nothing
work.
wrong with that. You ever watch the show Ozark?
Yes. In fact, I binged it last summer for the first time.
What'd you think?
I loved it. Loved it.
I thought it was great.
I did too. I would change a few things, but I loved it. Loved
Yeah.
it.
All right, to recap, Jared Goodman, you dead. Clyde, you're getting some, but you don't have to get locked down, Clyde. You can stay on the road. You're getting a little bit. You can stay on the road with Clint Eastwood, and then all the flying monkeys from Wizard of Oz. You are getting locked down.
Yeah, bring it.
You're going to be the house husband for Tonia Haddix. Now, I want to talk. We talked a little bit, and that concludes a game I like to call Fuck, Marry, Kill. And during that game, we talked about. I'm going to see if I can find this, Tanya. It is. Do you remember an old Fruit Roll-Ups commercial where it was like monkeys driving the bus?
Yes.
And the song was, I love my Fruit Roll-Ups. They make my fingers flip. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha.
Yes.
You remember this?
I do. I remember the one with the monkey. I didn't remember the theme song of it, but
It
yes.
is stuck in my brain. Anytime you see me staring off into space, it's because this commercial.
This is our bus. This is our bus driver.
That's funny.
This is fun. No corners for dogs.
Cha-cha-cha-cha. Real fruit and fun. Love the crazy things they do. Corners Fruit Roll-Ups.
Introducing the great big taste of new watermelon fruit roll-ups.
Fruit Corner Fruit Roll-Ups. Dude, there's a good chance, and I never even considered this till we were just having this conversation. There's a chance that at least one or two of those chimps came from...
The last one certainly looked like one of Connie's chimps.
How can you tell?
They all look different. I can tell every chimp apart. In fact, they did a game with me, which they didn't show in the docuseries, where they went around and they cut out like 25 or 30 different chimps that was not at Connie's. A couple of them were, but the majority wasn't. And I had to guess who those chimps were, and I knew every single one of them.
Really? That's impressive.
Yeah, it's just their faces are different.
But how can you tell by looking at these chimps in the commercial that, like, oh, those came from a certain lineage?
I think Karen Glass had some of those in there, but I think Connie Casey definitely probably had at least one in there.
Okay.
If I could get closer to the screen and I could definitely distinctively look at their eyes and stuff, I could tell you where they came from.
That's wild. Interesting. All right. Well, let's get to it. We're going to do a couple emails with me and maybe a message or two, and we'll get you out of here.
Okay, positive, fun. Yes, let's
Okay,
go.
let's do it. Here's one set that just says, I want to talk about Ireland. I don't know what this is. I don't know what we're walking into, Tanya, but let's listen and see what the hell this person says.
Okay.
I just wanted to talk about Ireland. I just got back there from a little while ago, and I thought it was crazy. They don't have corned beef and cabbage. They don't have a Reuben. And I went and I got tracksuits, and I wanted to look nice. I wanted to be comfortable. Every restaurant and bar says no tracksuits allowed. Supposedly this is a thing over there, and I've never heard about it. What's your thoughts?
Okay, abruptly ends on that. So that was clearly a super drunk guy.
Definitely drunk.
Said he went to Ireland.
But he's got a point. I mean, tracksuits. I'm assuming he means like jogging outfits, like we wear. So they're more not casual. They want to be dressed for dinner, which in some cultures that's what you do. You actually go get dressed for dinner before you go sit down to dinner. So, he should just know their culture and respect that culture, I guess. But for us, we don't care how we come to dinner. Not these days and time.
We're going to
Walmart in our jammies. Okay, so
we're going to everywhere in our jammies.
Yeah, so it's like that's no big deal. But for some people, that's a big culture thing that you dress. It's a respect thing.
Yeah, I also think maybe, and yeah, you're right. We're going out in America, and I mean, I got people in the front row of a comedy show on a Saturday night in Crocs, jammy pants, Tasmanian Devil T-shirt. I'm like, that's your Saturday night gear. Imagine what you're wearing Monday afternoon.
Amen. Right.
But I do think also there's probably some Ireland's over there near the Slav countries, man. Some of those Slavs, they're Slav squatting with their jewelry and their tracksuits on. Maybe there's something you don't know about going on. Maybe there's the Ireland's got the IRA and some of those Northern Ireland, Southern Ireland rivalries have been going on for a long time. It might be like, might just be gang related or affiliated. And you walk in there in the wrong tracksuit, it's like the Bloods and the Crips, man. They might have saved your life.
Exactly.
You don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm not having corned beef and cabbage or Guinness or anything like that, yeah, those are probably Americanized versions of what we think other cultures enjoy. So seems like they had some kind of beer because that guy was definitely super drunk.
So
it seems like he was doing great.
And, he still probably would go back. So,
All right. Well, let's listen to this one. It's just called Stuck in a Freezer.
Rafe, it's Tom. I got a story for you here. So I work in commercial refrigeration, and I got stuck in a freezer the other day for about an hour. Walked in with one of my coworkers, door closed behind us, and the latch broke. And we were stuck in the freezer for an hour because it took a half hour for our text message to go through because we couldn't call them there. We were only on Wi-Fi. So we text them. Took a half hour for the text to get through, and then another half hour for them to figure out which freezer we were in after we told them we were trapped in the freezer. So it got me thinking, what is the worst place to get stuck in? And a little funny for the end here, my coworker and I, when we walked out, he goes, "Thank God I took a dump before we walked in there." And I go, "Why was that?" And he said, "It was a loud and gassy one." I said, "Okay." So yeah, let me know. What's the worst place to get stuck in for like an hour? Freezer's not that bad, especially when you're wearing a coat.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, a freezer's deadly.
That's what I was
As far as getting
say.
stuck, where do you think the worst place to get stuck in for an hour is, Tanya?
An elevator.
Yeah. You
know,
claustrophobic?
Yeah, after a while, yeah, for sure. And even getting stuck on a plane on the tarmac for like hours waiting to get clearance to take off.
Yeah, that's like being held hostage a little bit.
Especially if you're on the inside of the seats, because you're just like stuck in there with those folks.
In the middle seat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Armrests are for the middle seat. We agree on that?
It's supposed to be, but people don't see it that way.
Yeah, well, they're wrong.
I agree, because I sure manipulate that as much as
They're
I
wrong
can.
about that. The only other play,
Because you have nothing. I mean, you're sitting there slumped just like that.
yeah, I wouldn't want to get stuck in a porta potty for an hour.
Hell no.
Like a porta potty at a Slipknot concert in the middle of July. That would be a bad
Hell
place
no. Yeah.
for the lock to break off inside of there because there's no heat, no ventilation, no AC, no ventilation. You're just breathing that liquid dookie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Plus,
want that.
Hotter than hell. So, no, I agree. That probably is the worst place.
All right, well, there you have it. Airplane or a porta potty at a hard rock metal concert. I'm going to read one email I had, and then we're going to wrap this up. Sound good?
Perfect.
All right, here's the email, Tanya. Hi, Rafe. Love you on both shows. Looking for suggestions, either real or humorous, because I need a laugh right now. I've been a scientist for over 18 years. Earlier this year, an injury forced me, in theory, to temporarily switch to lab operations. I ended up overworking and burning myself out to the point of physical health issues in addition to mental health. I'm trying to decide if I even want to go back to biotech. I'm brainstorming different jobs I could switch to. Any thoughts? I tried to keep that short so you could have less to edit and make a good program. Here are the details if you're curious. I'm a cell and molecular biologist. I've done a lot of bench lab work since December. I'm anxious about my science skills being subpar because I hurt my elbow and I couldn't go to work. Even after I was mostly healed, I agreed to stay in operations through a lab, move as they needed help. I took things too personally, and my boss basically stopped working, so I worked a full month of 70-hour weeks to make the move go smoothly. That resulted in heart issues, dangerously high blood pressure, and mental health getting really, really dark. So a doctor prescribed me medical leave. I was good at it, though, so I have been trying to stay in ops. I live in a very high cost of living area, and I have no other skills outside of science due to doing that since college. Thanks for your help. Funny or real. Have a wonderful day. So basically, we got somebody that's burnout. They're having mental health issues on the job, and they want to know if there are any other jobs they should switch to. And I'm sure everybody, I go through this, being a comedian and being a radio host. I get up at 4 a.m. for my radio job, and I'm out at the clubs doing shows at 10 o'clock at night. Those two worlds don't mesh well together. So I could see I get burned out sometimes. Sometimes the burnout's real. I feel like I get depression, or I feel like mentally blocked because I don't feel creative because I'm so tired. So I think taking mental health breaks is good. And I'm sure, Tanya, you take care of animals. I'm sure you go through similar things, right?
Oh, yeah. Some days you get so stressed and you're like, okay, I'm not going to take another animal for a while because I just need to just not have to get up and bottle feed. Because I'm like you, I sometimes bottle feed things every hour or every 2 hours. So you're constantly taking care of something. And eventually, like you said, you do have to. In fact, I tell my husband that I just need a day or two to just mentally decompress and just sleep. You get sleep deprivation, and like you said, you can't think. It's horrible. It's just not a way to live, for sure.
So do we have any thoughts for her? So there's your empathy. We see what you're going through. So I guess you just got to find something either low key or something that feels like it's worth it to you. For me, it's worth it. I like doing comedy. I want it to be my career. So for me, the burnout is worth it. I'm sure that Tanya likes taking care of her animals. So to her, the burnout's worth it. I have one idea. Are you hiring at the safari?
That's what I was going to say. Come be an animal worker. You can enjoy yourself, and it's low stress. And the thing about it is the worker that we have says, the difference between here and where I've always worked, everybody complained whenever they leave, but we make people happy. So this is a happy place. So it makes it easier to come, even if it's getting up early in the morning. So, yeah, do something kind of that is way different than you'd ever think, but don't do it for very long, especially if you live in a high economic area, because that's going to really put stress on you or either that or move and find you something that finds your glitch. But,
move out to the Ozarks. That's not a high economic area.
No,
you can afford the cost of living out there. And
you're close to Louis, so you can come on into St. Louis.
Right.
Do your thing. But no, I would, yes, we do it, but that's because we love it. Now, if they love it, maybe there's a different part of bioengineer that she could do that she's just not aware of that maybe isn't so tough, because there is several different avenues. Anytime you have an engineered degree or anything, you can always change up. So maybe she just needs to change up for a while. That's the good thing about nursing. You could sometimes work the floor, so you got to do patient care. But then if you wanted to push paper, you could push paper. So there was always unlimited opportunities. So maybe
100%.
Maybe she needs to just try to find something different.
And having a molecular biologist on staff at the safari would bound to come in handy at some point, I would imagine.
She could check that soil out from when the animal shit, right?
That's right. What a selling point. You can dip your tire you burned out. Well, dip your little thermometer in this monkey shit and tell me what's going on. You said you were a nurse. I'm curious. What kind of nursing did you do?
I was a DON, a director of nursing. I did floor nursing.
Any OR work?
I did do OR.
I was surgical tech when I got out of the Army.
Really?
Or like a retractor holder.
That's really cool.
So I worked. That was a
I did
unique
that
experience.
For about 18 months, but I wasn't. That was not my forte. But yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine, because everybody's asleep. You like taking care of people. You like interacting.
That's right. And
you're more of a floor.
And to watch all that surgeries, and then you that doctor's into it, and then you're losing people. It's and then having to go out and tell the family. No,
yeah, that's not fun.
I'll pass.
Yeah, so don't get into that. Get into maybe the animal safari, or maybe start yourself like an Etsy store. Or something like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty low.
Or start a podcast. Go to TikTok. Get you an animal. Get on TikTok.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's no molecular biologist TikTok that I follow, so there might be a market there. There might be a niche market for you to get into, so look into that.
For sure.
All right. Well, I feel like we solved their problems. And, Tanya, I want to thank you for being on the show. You've been wonderful. I've had a great time hanging out with you. I hope you had fun too.
Oh, you've been the best. In fact, this is I've been anticipating it, and I couldn't even sleep last night thinking about it. And so I'm super excited, and this is the best I've had. So yes, I'm super excited to not only be home in Louis, but to also get to hang out with people that really get things and that are not formed opinions, and that they're just fun and they just have a blast with what they do.
Great. Well, I had a blast with you, and you're welcome back anytime, and hopefully we'll do some stuff in the future. So that concludes this segment called Tank Talks. We'll be back to wrap this thing up after a quick word from our sponsor. Holy shit, we're back. That does it for another episode of the number 2 show. Fast times at Rafe Mont High have officially ended. What a wild episode. Hung out with Rizz and the incomparable, the one-of-a-kind Tonia Haddix from Chimp Crazy. Man, what a wild interview. What a fun, tongue-in-cheek time we had. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I did. Man, wild. Wild. I can't even believe it's happening to me. Guys, listen. I know this is cliche at the end of an episode, but be sure to like and subscribe and share and leave a positive review on Spotify or Apple or wherever you listen to podcasts, YouTube, wherever you're imbibing this at. It's helpful to me if you leave a review, if you share it with friends, if you take clips from the internet that I put out on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and all of the bullshit you gotta have in order to do a show to just try to make people laugh and have a good time. If you share those things, maybe other people will find the show. I kind of transcend genre, not trying to brag, okay? But I'm not true crime, all right? Definitely not health and fitness. Maybe mental health. But it's definitely not a genre that I easily fit in. So I'm trying to do a one-of-a-kind thing here. I'm doing a talk show and a shitter. Turns out they don't have a genre for that right now. So the more people you share it with, the more comments I get, the more it gets in the algorithm. And maybe people will discover it that are fans of comedy, having a good time, or just taking a deuce. It really is helpful to me. I appreciate it if you take the time. Give me some love, 5-star reviews. Maybe leave a comment, something you liked. And as always, I'm always monitoring the comments for future episodes. So feel free to leave something in there. Call 818-532-1420 anytime, day or night, and leave a message on the Papa Squad hotline, baby, because I'll read that on the air. And very soon I'm going to have a promotion where I'm giving away some number 2 show hats, some merch, baby. So stay tuned. Tell your friends. Hide your kids. It's another episode of the number 2 show. I'm Rafe Williams. Thanks for tuning in. Till next time, always wipe front to back.